they did was reporting to everyone and doing reports like a reporter, right? And giving the information from the actfiles.org, the documentary film, The Impact. Now, you guys, I don't know who put that documentary up for the safety of my life and Dwayne's life. We don't need to know. And for you in the chat, you guys, I don't think you need to know, but I know Julian Assange is really, he's wreaking smiles on this shit. Okay. So
everybody remembers WikiLeaks, right? Now
yeah.
he's been shut up because he's been jailed. So, but he's probably sitting there because watching the news and stuff. He's watching what's going on and he's laughing his ass off. Finally, they're being exposed, right?
Exactly. And now you guys, actfiles.org is like the WikiLeaks from hell. Gates of Hell opened up a story. I mean, my God, you guys, the stuff that's on there, I never thought would ever exist in my lifetime, but it does exist. You know, so you guys want to continue to listen. Okay.
It's the power to change the course of events. And if enough people know it, it will help break through the wall of silence. Accordingly, please set aside whatever you're doing right now and listen closely. This concerns the life of every single one of you. The increasingly active magma plume beneath Siberia, an area comparable in size to the entire continent of Australia, constitutes a genuine planetary threat, and it will not disappear in its own accordance.
Oh, thank you, Pete.
As a global civilization, we must urgently address this problem through controlled degassing. This means gradually releasing and redirecting gas and lava from within the Earth to relieve internal pressure, and thus prevent a catastrophic eruption. It is the only viable way to avert disaster and save billions of lives. Without immediate action, we are headed toward the collapse of civilization. Anyway, now let me demonstrate through a simple example why the Siberian plume poses a mortal danger not only to the people of Siberia, but to all of humanity, and how the proposed solution could stop the impending catastrophe. I'll explain it in terms so simple that even a small child could understand. What you see on the screen is a blue balloon symbolically representing our Earth. You also see a pump inflating the balloon. This represents the influx of external cosmic influence into Earth's core. This external influence heats the core, which in turn melts the mantle. Hot magma rises from the depths and expands in volume. You can see how the balloon grows larger and inflates with the added air. The internal pressure pushing outward increases. This illustrates magma expanding within the planet as a result of additional heat input. Next, you see a specific point on the balloon being pierced by an IV tube system. This serves as a figurative analogy for the simultaneous drilling of hundreds of boreholes across the Siberian region to release excess gas and lava. And next, you see the roller flow regulator being opened, and the air begins to escape from the balloon. You can tell because the feather hanging near the balloon starts to flutter. This is the release of pressure from the system. The opening of the roller regulator symbolizes the process of planned degassing of the Siberian magma plume, during which excess gas and lava are diverted, and pressure within the system decreases. The balloon stops expanding rapidly, no matter how much new air is pumped in. So what is actually happening at this moment? Right now, since planned degassing has not been implemented, the excess magma remains trapped in a closed system. As a result, the Earth's crust begins to crack. This is the increase in seismic activity, and it will only continue to intensify. You can replicate this experiment at home. Coat a balloon with a sugar glaze. Once the glaze hardens, start inflating the balloon. You will see it begin to crack. This is a clear visual example of the growing number and strength of earthquakes. Pressure is continuously building up in the Earth's interior, which is precisely why seismic activity is now increasing exponentially.
Exactly.
What does this tell us? That we are standing on the brink of massive catastrophes. Just look at what's happening around the world. Isn't it obvious? This is precisely what explains the recent powerful seismic event in Myanmar. According to seismologists, the March 28th earthquake in Myanmar, with a magnitude of 7.7, is an atypical super shear event. In this type of earthquake, energy is released at an extraordinary rate, dramatically amplifying its destructive potential. The super shear phenomenon is characterized by the rupture front moving faster than the seismic waves it generates. This creates a concentrated energy front capable of causing severe destruction over long distances. As experts vividly describe it, this kind of rupture is comparable to the supersonic jet stream of a fighter aircraft. Moving forward, we will see more and more of these abnormal shifts, atypical ruptures, subsidence, and uplifts occurring across the globe, day by day. The sugar glaze on the surface of our balloon is beginning to crack at the seams. Right now, the volume of the balloon is slowly but steadily increasing. Pressure within the Earth's interior continues to build as the heat generated inside the planet expands the volume of magma. This in turn causes the planet's surface to expand. Suppose we fail to carry out planned degassing and do not relieve the continuously mounting pressure underground. In that case, the air pumped in by the inflator will eventually rupture the balloon. In geological terms, this would mean a rupture of the Earth's crust in the most affected zone. A rupture.
Troy, what will happen is, as a matter of fact, let me explain something real quick too as well to you guys. If the Russian scientists could go in there and start drilling in the wrong place, which they have old, outdated data, okay? In the previous videos of Dr. Egon Shlokin, he goes in great detail about it. But if they go and they start drilling in the wrong place, they can destroy us all. That's it. It'll be synchronicity effect. Yellowstone, super volcanoes, like the Mariana Trench. And frankly, I like the skin on my body, and I'd like to stay alive for a long, I'd like to live for a long time, and see all these amazing events take place in the world. But if our scientists go in there and if they are allowed to get all this data and do whatever they can, we can actually degas and let the lava run out and actually extend the Siberian territory, and this can give us, if we degas it for a period of time, that can give us like 200 more million years on the planet. But you have to remember, it's already been 250 million years already. And we already know for a fact that since the core shifted, it shifted under Siberia, and thus the magnetic field followed. And now Siberia is the hottest spot on the planet. It's like the kitchen of the climate right now, and it's really dangerous. And the poor people in Siberia, my heart goes out to them. They have, you guys, there's videos coming out of Siberia with the wells are actually boiling. They're boiling, and there's fire under the snow.
And
And these are facts.
they've given up the idea of drilling these for minerals as well. Right?
Mhm.
There's no government official or anybody working in Siberia to degas the Siberian plume
Yeah.
because they know the threat. So they're so scared of it and what it's going to do that they backed away from it to protect their own asses, right? Realizing that if Siberia goes, you can kiss the northern hemisphere goodbye, right? And that's just a fact. Egon Shlokin was just talking about degassing Siberia. It needs to be done ASAP, yesterday, or last month, or last year, or 5 years ago. This should have been done, and it's just being ignored by the Russian government, right? Alexander Dvorkin is keeping everybody distracted with all the war crap that he's trying to create and do, and Ukraine's a part of that. And there's going to be other countries he's going after next. And until total annihilation of Ukraine, and he's going to go after other countries as well because he's claiming that they're violating a treaty or whatever. And that's just the game they're playing, and that the Orthodox people or the church in Russia is playing with Putin.
Yeah,
So Putin's
and these are the same
already a pawn.
tactics used in
Right.
Ukraine. Same tactics.
Exactly.
And it's nothing new. Actually, Dvorkin is a student of the teacher of Hitler. This is a fact, you guys. This is a fact. and Dvorkin studied in the United States for 10 years. Did you know when he left the US, he carried suitcases and suitcases and suitcases of copies of documents that he took from public libraries? What was he looking for? I have no idea, but he explains it on
He was
ACFILES.
looking for all the information he needed to amp
Yeah.
the recreation of the forthcoming of Hitler.
The Fourth Reich, yeah, exactly.
Right, the
And
Fourth
that's
Reich.
exactly what
And
he
that's
wants,
what
the Fourth Reich.
and that's what he's doing. Now, in order to cover his tracks of what he's doing, all the crimes he's doing against humanity, he's willing to let everybody on this planet perish to cover that conspiracy, to
And
cover,
you know, it's
cover
a
what
good
he's
thing you
doing.
brought that up, Dwayne. Because listen, if you guys were causing chaos, let me ask you a question. If you were the genius of the world and you were causing chaos all over the planet, right? And you knew that humanity was coming together to save themselves and to reveal what you've been doing, what are you going to do? You're going to push your agenda as hard as you can, as quick as you can. So everybody will be annihilated and no one will find out all the atrocities that you've committed, right? You're not going to want people to know about that. You're not going to want to be caught. You know, this man, by the way, has no children and no family members at all. He's actually, he's eliminated all of them. Fact, you know, so let's keep listening. Dwayne, I need to go open up shop because.
Okay. Yeah, you can
got
just
some
play
things
the
that-
video. We'll listen to that.
Yeah. I'll be right back, you guys. Okay. I'm going to continue playing.
Always occurs where the crust is thinnest. Today there are two exceedingly thin points on the planet. The zone of magma plume beneath Siberia and the fragile crust in the area of the Mariana Trench. However, at this moment, the Siberian plume is the leading source of aggressive influence on the Earth's crust. Thus, this is the central premise of degassing, to relieve the critical pressure building within the system we call planet Earth. It is essential to understand that the process of pressure accumulation in Earth's system is not infinite. It resembles a pump inflating a balloon, which operates only for a limited time. The influx of additional energy into the Earth's core occurs only once every 12,000 years. We will address the duration of this period in more detail a bit later. For now, our primary objective is to preserve the integrity of the planet's outer shell, to prevent the bursting of the balloon during this peak pressure phase, which is a relatively brief period of time. We must endure this interval until the natural cessation of the active phase of external cosmic influence. The very existence of this external cosmic influence, an additional external energy directed toward the core of our Earth, no longer raises doubts. It is an established fact, confirmed by the activation of seismic and volcanic processes observed on other planets in the solar system, which throughout the entire period of observation prior to the beginning of this cycle were considered dead, lifeless masses of rock. However, with the onset of the current cycle, they have begun to awaken, exhibiting signs of geological activity. Anyway, when the anomalous heat release will subside, it will lead to the stabilization of magmatic processes and a reduction in the deformational impact to the Earth's crust. Overcoming this period is our paramount task. Under current conditions, the refusal to implement degassing could lead to a catastrophic scenario, one that would mark the end of human civilization. This is the very message I am striving to convey to you today. In summary, the controlled degassing of the Siberian magma plume represents humanity's path forward, our means of withstanding the present 12,000-year cycle of cataclysms. Let me now clarify a critical point that often causes confusion among some of my less informed interlocutors.
Thank you, Alex.
Why degassing must be carried out specifically in the area of the Siberian plume rather than in Yellowstone region. The facts are as follows. The magma chambers beneath Yellowstone are approximately 1,000 times smaller in volume compared to the Siberian magma plume. This means that even a powerful supervolcano such as Yellowstone, is minuscule when measured against the plume beneath Siberia. Consequently, artificial degassing in the Yellowstone area or in any other comparable supervolcano would have no appreciable effect on global geological processes. The scale is simply too insignificant in relation to the magnitude of the ongoing geodynamic activity. Furthermore, the eruption histories of Yellowstone and the Siberian plume also affirm that Yellowstone has never exerted the same level of influence on Earth as the Siberian plume. Yellowstone has never exerted the same level of influence on Earth as the Siberian plume. Yellowstone has never exerted the same level of influence. The Great Permian Extinction. Yellowstone, despite its formidable power, has never produced consequences of such magnitude.
Awesome.
To reduce the excessive pressure accumulating in Earth's interior.
Awesome. Thank you, Peter. Oh, you guys, let me introduce Peter to you. Peter John Bossi is a world-renowned journalist. He's worked for the UN and major organizations in the world. He was in the Afghan war. He's been at the Syria war. He's been all over the globe. And now he's with us, the Volunteers of the Creator. He's one of the most honest journalists we've met so far. And he's been with us reporting on everything. And we're so happy to have him. In fact, he's the journalist who's recording everything. Dunya Dar, it's great to see your face. This is Dunya Dar. He's in the United States, and he's with us too. Amazing people. And we're so grateful to have Peter John Bossi with us. All right, you guys are playing.
A primary driver of escalating natural disasters, a large-scale and rigorously controlled degassing operation is absolutely required. Such an operation can be safely executed specifically in the region of the Siberian plume due to the presence of the Siberian traps.
Hi, Gaston.
These
Good
traps
morning.
are solidified lava flows that function like reinforcement bars, holding the Earth's crust in place. Because of this natural reinforcement, pressure can be gradually released without the risk of a catastrophic explosion or tectonic plate rupture. In contrast to Yellowstone, where the Earth's crust is structurally weaker, the presence of the traps in Siberia provides the necessary conditions for safely conducting such a high-intensity degassing effort. Moreover, it is the Siberian plume that poses an exceptional threat, as it is exhibiting signs of approaching a catastrophic eruption, one comparable to the event that occurred 250 million years ago. Humanity must hold out just 20 years until the active phase of the geodynamic cycle concludes, carrying out a deliberate, precise, and controlled decompression effort during this period. Thus, this is the only location on the planet where such interventions aimed at reducing pressure within the Earth's magmatic system can produce a significant effect. There are no alternative solutions. Our detailed calculations confirm that it is only at this specific site that humanity can implement the necessary measures to prevent a global catastrophe. A natural question thus arises: how can the planned degassing of the Siberian magma plume possibly influence the resolution of the 12,000-year cataclysm cycle, especially considering that this cycle encompasses the entire solar system? What significance could the systematic degassing of the Siberian magma plume have in alleviating pressure within the Earth system? At first glance, such a measure may appear inconsequential. You should note that there is an alternative approach to pressure relief: the creation of numerous localized decompression points in the Earth's crust above the Siberian magma plume. These would enable a gradual reduction of excess pressure. In practical terms, this would require a simultaneous release of pressure through a system of hundreds of boreholes, which would synchronously divert excess gas and lava. Importantly, these boreholes would not need to reach extreme depths, as the magma is already rising within the Earth's crust. Every day, hundreds of wells are drilled around the world for oil, gas, and water. This offers reason for optimism regarding the technical feasibility of drilling boreholes for controlled degassing of the Siberian magma plume. Planning the placement of boreholes for scheduled degassing would take no more than 6 months, and the process itself to initiate planned degassing may take only 1 year. The advantage of this degassing strategy lies in the controllability of the eruption process. The key aspect of this approach is the mitigation of critical internal pressure and the controlled release of ash, which would minimize atmospheric strain and eliminate the risk of volcanic winter. The implementation of controlled degassing of the Siberian magma plume significantly increases humanity's chances of survival during the cycle of catastrophes, compared to a scenario in which no planned controlled degassing is conducted. Otherwise, the planet will undergo this degassing on its own terms, but by then we will no longer exist on it. This is the fundamental issue that demands universal understanding. Our task is to endure the critical period of geodynamic instability while the Earth's core is subjected to external cosmic influence that delivers additional energy to it. This is the phase in our analogy when the balloon is gradually inflating from the gas pumped into it. Humanity must withstand this relatively brief interval of heightened danger. The peak interval of external cosmic influence, which occurs every 12,000 years, is in fact relatively brief. According to the analysis of geodynamic events, the onset of this interval was recorded around 1995. At present, we have entered the active phase of the cycle, which is expected to last approximately 20 years, and this is the period we must now endure. By 2036, as the timeline approaches the peak of the cycle's activity, catastrophes of critical intensity are projected. Provided that timely preparations are made and preventative measures are implemented, namely the planned degassing of the Siberian plume and the restoration of the ocean's heat-conducting function, then following the peak, the intensity of cataclysms is expected to begin to decline. It is anticipated that the subsequent stabilization period will require a comparable span of time. However, this phase will be marked by a gradual improvement, growing better with each passing year, unlike the current pattern of continuous deterioration, which likewise intensifies year after year.
Sorry, guys, sorry.
Both
Oh,
processes,
shoot.
escalation and
Sorry.
stabilization, extended over time. The period during which our planet is affected by the geodynamic cycle of catastrophe spans approximately 80 years. This estimate is based on the analysis of previous catastrophic cycles, derived from research in the geochronology of quaternary deposits, ice cores, seafloor sediments, and paleosols, lava flows, ash layers, supervolcano, geomorphology, paleomagnetic data, and numerous other lines of evidence. In the context of geological processes, a time span of 80 years is an exceedingly brief interval. As humanity, we must persevere through the peak phase, the period when the threat of planetary rupture, the bursting of the balloon, is at its highest. This critical window lasts only 20 years, after which the existential risk of magmatic catastrophes will decline significantly. The most acute phase of catastrophic events is projected to occur between 2030 and 2040. In essence, humanity must survive a critical 20-year period. However, Given the exponential trajectory of escalating cataclysms and our ongoing inaction, the probability of survival is rapidly approaching zero. The prospect of conducting controlled degassing may appear daunting, and I fully understand these concerns. The apprehension expressed by Russia and Russian scientists is entirely justified. However, we now find ourselves in a situation where inaction outweighs the risk associated with taking action. Of course, there is a probability that during the degassing process, the situation could get out of control, and the plume could explode. However, this is only possibility at the initial stage and for a very short period of time. If everything is done correctly, this will not happen. Yet if we do nothing, the probability of an eruption becomes a certainty, and the consequences would be catastrophic for all civilization. That is why it is imperative to make informed, judicious decisions and to act in order to avert the worst-case scenario. Some have criticized both myself and the participants of Alatra for allegedly promoting apocalyptic sentiments, but that characterization is simply untrue. We are actively seeking ways to overcome this crisis. Unlike others, we are doing everything in our power to find constructive solutions to an escalating threat. The truly apocalyptic mindset is exhibited by those who either deny the existence of the problem, refuse to confront reality, or passively accept the inevitability of catastrophe. Unfortunately, I am compelled to state that, at present, no one understands the cause and effect relationships of climate and geodynamic changes as deeply as the organization Alatra. This is indeed the case. In our world, science is fragmented and heavily influenced by funding, as well as economic and political interests. As humanity, it is time for us to acknowledge this. It is precisely for this reason that we have entered so deeply into the cycle of catastrophes. If things were otherwise active, measures to prevent a planetary catastrophe would have been implemented long ago. As a result, the implementation of a planned degassing operation faces serious obstacles, most notably the fact that Alatra has been designated an undesirable organization in Russia. In the end, the only group seriously working to solve the problem has been driven out of the country. Instead of continuing the research initiated by Alatra scientists, the Russian scientific establishment, represented by so-called experts like Vinogradov of the Russian Academy of Sciences, has done absolutely nothing. Undoubtedly, within Russian scientific circles, there are competent scientists with the necessary qualifications who are currently forced to remain silent due to immense pressure, and I will explain why a bit later. However, the majority of them specialize How long will it take to develop expertise on this issue from scratch? Do you, esteemed colleagues, have that time available to you? Do you possess those years deemed necessary to achieve our mission? I'll withhold my answer for the moment. If the contribution of the Alatra scientific community is excluded from the equation concerning your future, what conclusion will you ultimately reach? Think about that. After my visual example with the balloon, I hope that now all scientists around the world, including those in Russia, even individuals like Vinogradov, and even young children, have understood that if the excess pressure is not released from our balloon, it will burst. And now I suspect you are probably asking the obvious question. Why is no one doing anything about this? Well, let me remind you of something I've said before, something that is now becoming even more evident. The analysis of facts I've repeatedly presented points to a deeply troubling truth. Certain circles within Russian power structures are fully aware of the growing activity of the Siberian plume. They know what's happening beneath the surface, thanks in part to our data and their own parallel studies, but they are deliberately concealing this, not only from the world, but also from their own citizens. Moreover, I am more than certain that they are hiding this from the leadership of your country that you have elected. I have repeatedly proven that in Russia, alongside the government you have elected, there exists a parallel power structure. So why then is degassing not beneficial to this parallel power structure in Russia, despite its proven necessity? The answer is disturbingly simple. It all comes down to their own personal gain. Carrying out degassing would require the evacuation of millions of people from high-risk zones, territories, that generate enormous daily revenues for these financial circles connected to the parallel power structure. For them, it's unthinkable. They will never exercise such action voluntarily. It's easier for them to keep you in the dark, to perpetuate a campaign of disinformation, to silence every voice that dares to speak the truth, so long as it means their pockets stay full until the very last day. To these people, self-interest outweighs everything else. The lives of their citizens, the survival of their nation, and even the future of humanity. But that's only one side of their overarching motive. There is another reason, even more significant than this. The Shadow Authority itself has an interest in ensuring that this explosion actually happens. And I'll reveal that to you just a bit later, when we reach the end of this chain of facts. As I've already mentioned, this parallel power structure in Russia has a clear strategy. The Russian people and the international community must never learn the truth about the Siberian plume. They are in a state of panic over the possibility that the real situation could reach the public. That is precisely why, as soon as Allatra began speaking about this threat over a decade ago, it was met with relentless discrediting. First came the disinformation campaign, followed by sweeping persecution that led to the movement's expulsion from the country and the fabrication of criminal charges, and not just in Russia. And as I already stated in my previous address, these ruling circles are so terrified of the truth, which has been and continues to be voiced by the Allatra volunteers, that in desperation these circles resorted to familiar tactics. They began labeling us as a cult. Imagine that, scientists and volunteers, people working free of charge to assist researchers, branded as cultists. You might call that absurd, but no, it is their favorite tactic. This tactic, labeling people as a cult, was not chosen at random. For the shadow power structure in Russia, it is a convenient and time-tested method of eliminating those who stand in their way. They've already refined it while using it against many other organizations that served merely as stepping stones toward their goal of gaining power over the Russian people. It's part of a systemic approach to deliberately brand as cultist anyone who threatens their control, and now especially the volunteers of Allatra. Why? Because we dare to speak publicly about the Siberian plume and how to prevent the coming catastrophe. And make no mistake, this scheme didn't just emerge on its own. It was built over decades by Alexander Dworkin, the chief ideologue of what is called the fight against cults. He is part of this parallel power structure in Russia. Under the guise of hunting sectarians, he constructed an entire network of influence, not just in Russia, but beyond its borders. I've already touched on Dworkin's role in a prior address, but now it's time to examine it in more detail. Why? Because understanding his role sheds light on the scale of influence wielded by this hidden power structure. More importantly, it reveals the exact playbook they use against you, the very people they claim to be protecting. Listen carefully. What I'm about to share will not only complete the picture of their operations, but also bring us closer to answering the question of why they would benefit from the Siberian plume erupting, causing Russia to physically disappear from the map, along with the entire Eurasian continent, which they also do not care about. Today, at this moment, Dworkin and his followers are the primary force opposing a watcher's warnings about the threat of the Siberian plume. Their actions have already condemned millions of people to suffering, and the first and foremost, you, the people of Russia. While we strive to bring the truth to light, they are relentlessly and viciously destroying every trace of it. As I've said before, Dworkin labels everyone around him as cultist, including us. But the truth is that the only real totalitarian cult with an extremist terrorist ideology striving for absolute power is his own. If we evaluate his actions by his own criteria, everything becomes rather clear. He is the founder of a totalitarian cult with an extremist and terrorist ideology, operating outside the law. Dworkin laid the foundation for this machine back in 1993, and over the past 3 decades, it has evolved into a covert network that, like an octopus, has entangled not only your country from within, but also much of the entire world. In Russia, however, it has even become an active part of a shadow power structure. This is no ordinary cult. It is the embodiment of evil, uniting fanatics and sadists from around the entire world. Dworkin's book, Sectology, is not a scholarly work. It is instead a manual for institutionalized sadism, a veritable Bible for his followers. Dworkin and his cultists deliberately target and destroy any organization they deem undesirable. They occupy positions on committees that issue rulings labeling individuals and groups as extremist. And in doing so, they place targets on their victims, victims who are then crushed by the machinery of repression they control, destroying the lives of innocent citizens. Their hands are stained with the blood of countless people. Dworkin is the embodiment of evil, arguably the most dangerous man since Adolf Hitler. And for you, the people of Russia, perhaps not only after Hitler, but also Yezhov. For over 30 years, Dworkin and his closest allies have systematically manipulated the public, dismantling people's capacity for critical thought. They deploy methods of psychological manipulation, hypnotic techniques, and suggestive tactics once refined by
Low battery. Please charge.
Hang on, guys.
and Smirnov. These methods leave
Sorry,
no
hang on a
room
second.
for resistance. They suppress the will, erase personal convictions, and impose an ideology that fully subjugates the individual to their cult. And this is not mere rhetoric. Use
Low battery.
Oh,
Please
shoot.
charge.
Hang on, you guys.
cult
I'm trying
photographs
to.
from lectures conducted by Dworkin and his close followers for a wide range of
Hang on, guys. Hang on 1 second, okay? I have.
You're having all kinds of issues today, aren't you?
Yeah, I played it on the.
It is his
There it is.
strategy. In
Sorry,
his
guys.
lectures, Dworkin
If you
deliberately
just plug in the charger,
already hold
it'd be okay.
Sorry.
If you just plug in the charger, it should be
Yeah,
okay.
that's what I did. It so did. It's so I'm charging up the USB, the Bluetooth, so we can hear it a little bit louder, because my neighbor's dogs like to bark. Peter and Dwight, everybody's aware of this. Yeah, I was sitting here thinking to myself, trying to make them be quiet, you know. So, all right, you guys, let's continue to
What
listen.
is really interesting, I was doing a whole
Go
live
ahead, go ahead.
of this same video, and it's really, especially the end, guys. If you're here online, please stay with us, because the end of the video of Akon Cholakian is really amazing. It will fill all the questions or even the doubts you would have. It is really, very evil. And you will see as well that he is ruling now over some secret service in Ukraine as well. This is unbelievable. And he is addressing to the Ukrainian authorities, and there will be even a video of Alexander Dworkin, that he is admitting that he has his agents active working in the Ukraine. Guys, this is unbelievable. You have to watch it. Go to agonreport.org. Like your life is dependent on it, guys. Only if more people will be informed what is actually going on with this evil power on the name of Alexander Dworkin, who is creating a shadow government within Russia and the Ukraine. So
Yeah, I'm
please
putting that
stay
in.
and watch this live. You can also watch it on my name, Peter John Boss, on YouTube. It's the same. We are having at the moment 4 viewers. Not much, but 4 is 4. It is better
That's
than
right,
nothing.
Peter. That's right, Peter. Okay, you guys.
Absolutely.
Listen, you guys, y'all need to watch this video. You need to share it with everyone you know, because this man is betting on for Siberia to go off. That's what he's waiting on, because he knows he's not going to take it. He doesn't want to get arrested, and he's going to do everything he can to make sure the people in Russia and Siberia are gone, wiped off the face of the map. You guys, this man hates Russia. He literally hates it.
And in turn, it covers up all his crimes. So
Yeah,
you can't prove a crime if there's no evidence, right? If it's all buried under ash or a volcano or whatever, eruption, lava.
Also the video. Please, the video before it might be, banned from the internet. Because these are really heavy confirmation what is going on while you are here alive and you're not aware of. You think everything will be okay. The governments will protect you. Guys, Alexander Dworkin is one of the most intelligent persons that is very rare born. But he is also a lunatic. He hates human beings. He is an American citizen and a Russian citizen. He sits on 2 chairs. And he is using his intelligence to create his agents all around the world like an octopus. He is very dangerous. He can cost your life. I am a former 10 years war reporter. I know how it smells, a burning child. And I know how it sounds in my mind still like echoes of children crying before passing away, of burning. Guys, I still have traumas because of that. I want, and all the creative society and Alatra wants, a peaceful world that we will all respect each other, no matter what skin color, religion, a culture background, a choice of gender. We're all human beings. We should unite. And Alexander Dworkin is trying to divide us in hate. what is happening in America, happening in Asia, in Europe, everywhere in the world. We have to unite and respect each other for our beliefs.
Yeah.
Even if we disagree, let's respect each other. Please.
And we also know he's trying to push a war between the United States and Mexico.
Oh, yeah.
True. It's the same
And Canada.
tactics.
And Canada.
Canada, everywhere. He's trying to push that.
Don,
And, you
we're
guys-
talking about Alexander Dvorkin, which is the one who's actually in control of Russia, right? And keeping the war between Russia and Ukraine going. He has operatives in Ukraine as well. They keep feeding information to Russia. So these guys, it's going to be a continuous battle. Meanwhile, it's taking lives of thousands of people a week, a day, right? And Trump's talked about this already. He knows what's going on there. And either side are willing to give up that, right?
Yeah.
Now, Putin is trying to incite war with other countries as well, saying they violated treaties
Israel, Palestine, they're on the list too.
because of Alexander Dvorkin. And Alexander Dvorkin is in partially control of the United States mainstream media through inside help with George Soros.
You know, Dwayne, what is the biggest violation, according me? I'm saying now in you know, as a person, that is, there are absolutely no research being done justice-like by the Department of Justice in Ukraine about these razzias, because they're active there, and they're spreading their lies also in Ukraine, while Russia attacked the Ukraine in aggression, a state. They even called. You will hear Alexander Dvorkin saying later on this video of Akin Cholakian that all of the Ukraine is a cult, a dangerous cult.
And
He
that's
will
what he
say
does.
it. He is revealing the true colors of him, of hate and disinformation.
And you could also question where $350 billion is not explained go that went to Ukraine in the hands now of Alexander Dvorkin.
Yeah,
Yeah, everything is falling into play.
all governments who are paying money and supporting Ukraine should write an urgent message to the Ukraine, parliament.
Yes.
What is happening? To stop
all that-
this, witch hunt of volunteers of Alatra Creative Society or whatever religion you have. Because we are not a part of politics. We are not a religion. We are not a cult. We're just trying to save human lives and to inform the people what actually is happening. You can see it on the Impact, on actfiles.org. You can see it on many, outlets of media now. But please, let's continue, if I may. Let's continue.
We've always had this problem with the mainstream media giving the people the truth. Now, before this administration, the mainstream media is in control of George Soros, plus there's other people involved as well, right? Now, if Alexander Dvorkin wants to create a civil war within the United States, for example, right, you have plans inside the United States government, whether it be the Department of Justice, the FBI, the CIA, so forth and so on, right, working to help keep the propaganda going, help keep the division between us to get going, because they can't rule if we come together, right? They've got to keep us divided. And their goal is to try to cover up all the corruption that they're doing right now by letting Siberia go, by letting it blow, right? And that's going to take up the Northern Hemisphere. That's going to take everybody off the Northern Hemisphere if it does erupt, right? It's not a volcano either. It's bigger than a volcano. And if Siberia goes, the rest of the planet is going to follow suit. You're going to see every major earthquake. You're going to see every major volcano around the world all going off simultaneously, including Yellowstone. And Yellowstone's a 1,000 times smaller than what the plume is in Siberia.
Yeah, and Alexander
The plume
Dvorkin
in
is betting.
Siberia is 1,000 times bigger than Yellowstone. We
Yeah.
cannot call it a super volcano or a volcano is a whole seismic plate, because the pressure inside our Earth is expanding, it's becoming hotter. And we all learned that at school, what is hot is expanding. Yeah? So that is what is happening. It's lifting up. The Earth is getting bigger. You can see the cracks. If you don't believe me, go and see cracks of hundreds of miles in Africa, Libya, most of them hidden under the ocean. So we can see.
Some of them you
That's
can
why
see. You
we need
you go to Boulder,
to
Colorado, you'll see
degas.
it too.
We need to degas. We need to get rid of all this nano microplastic, because they don't conduct the heat to escape. So everywhere it is getting hotter and hotter. So this is the biggest danger. We as volunteers of the Creative Society are trying to get in your mind, to do your own research, to see the facts, because the mainstream media is not telling you this. We know now, and you can see on Yahoo News, on Google News, you can see that a lot of our information now are slowly being accepted. But
Listen,
it's not
hang on for a second,
so
Pete.
fast
I'm
enough.
gonna do, listen, I'm gonna do an operation block on you, all right? No, I really want you guys to pay attention to this information, because all those operations that you're talking about, a lot of them were orchestrated by Alexander Dvorkin, and there's a lot of people running with this information online to misinform people. Okay, and there's a lot of bloggers who are actually accepting money from him to propagate his own science. And those bloggers are actually a part of the investigation, in fact. Anyone supporting this Nazi cultist group, this totalitarian sect out of Russia, will be prosecuted in the nearest future. There will be a Nuremberg trial, and it will happen. And if it doesn't happen, then that's because we all got eliminated by the climate and Siberia. And these are facts, you guys. I'm sorry to tell you, but I've got kids, man. You know, and you in the chat need to be doing everything you can to protect your children right now, and just step away. Please, for God's sake, step away from the ridiculousness of all this BS going on online about these conspiracy theories. Step away from it. Take it out. Remove it. Focus on the facts. Dr. Egon Chalokian has been presenting these facts. He has, you guys. And y'all still running with this nonsense online. I mean, you know how many people you misinform every single day? You're costing them their lives. You guys do what's right. This is the time at the crossroads. Our car can either remain with a flat tire or fill it with gas and go down the right road. Okay, and these are facts. All right, so you guys, please, please, please watch these videos. For God's sakes, man, do something right for freaking change. You know, we're not here for our health. We're here for our lives, and we're here for yours too. Okay, you guys, we're going to continue to play this video.
Well said, and it's very true. We have to do something. We can't sit back and accept the fact that our planet is going to self-destruct and not be involved, right? Not try to save it. You know, if you're raising children right now, you really should be concerned and try to do something about this information. Now, how do we get the information to our leaders, right? The president and your princes and your whoever all these people in charge, is simply by us coming together and putting out a global demand that these people in power listen. We know Russia and Ukraine is not going to listen, right? We know that their ears are closed because they have another agenda, and that's the total destruction of their northern hemisphere of our planet, right? And that will take out the rest of the planet as well. Not, you know, it's not just going to be them. So we have to do something. We have to get involved, right? And we need the scientists. There's only 200 on this planet that know what's going on, how to degas this Siberian plume, right? They need to be activated. They need to get to this. And right now, Russia will not allow scientists in that area. And it's been over a year since they've gotten data out of there, which means this plume has probably grown a lot since then.
Yeah.
And it may be closer to erupting than we think. We don't know
Yeah,
without information coming out of there.
I'm trying to reply to this guy, but I can't reply to him. Every time I try to reply to you, I can't. He's the guy with the blue dot, the beautiful blue dot. As a matter of fact, that's a beautiful color, I just want to say. But he says it's always been for something to do. Yeah, I know, you guys. And, Yeah, I listen, you guys, everybody's entitled to their opinion, but right now, you guys, right now, listen, right now, opinion should be based on what you think you should do to help your family and help this planet survive what's coming. Because Alexander Dworkin is betting on for that balloon to blow. That's what he wants.
Yeah,
He
you
wants it. He
and the
doesn't care about
information,
us.
and then
He
you
doesn't care about
decide
anyone.
how you take it, right? You decide what you're going to do. If you're not going to tell your family about this, your kids and your loved ones about this, and when something like this happens, when the climate attacks you, and you knew it was coming, and you said nothing, who do you think they're going to look for? Who do you
Yeah.
think they're going to blame for this, right? You.
Yeah.
All right, you
If
guys.
listen, guys, if you don't believe, because I checked on ChatGPT, there is no confirmation about the plume, it says, and things. Listen, guys, you can see that 4 years ago, famous Russian scientists confirmed that plume. Now they're in silence. Now the whole Russian Science Institute is being taken over by some idiots that are so far from being a scientist that I'm from a ballet dancer. And really, guys, as my ex-wife, I'm a terrible dancer. You know, I can absolutely no dance. The other thing is most important that the former Minister of Defense, he made a big project to make Siberia the center of the economic of all of Mother Russia. Why you think that 1.5 years ago they started to dismantle all the factories, all the plants of building cities that can host 1 million and more people? Why you think they all relocated as far as possible from Siberia? Think logical, guys, because sometimes world politics is not rocket science. It is as easy as you see flowers rising from the snow to know that springtime is coming. It is that easy. But just try always to put a question mark. Don't take what we are saying for granted. Just do your own research. And I'm sure you will come to the same logical conclusion.
Yeah.
So,
All right, you guys, we're going to continue to listen to the video, okay?
okie dokie.
Mm-hmm.
They hold key positions in society. He indoctrinated them with the
I'm going to
these
rewind
are
it just a bit.
children, intelligence personnel, including members of the FSB. Dworkin is the embodiment of evil, arguably the most dangerous man since Adolf Hitler. And for you, the people of Russia, perhaps not only after Hitler, but also Yezhov. For over 30 years, Dworkin and his closest allies have systematically manipulated the public, dismantling people's capacity for critical thought. They deploy methods of psychological manipulation, hypnotic techniques, and suggestive tactics once refined by manipulative figures like Kunet and Smirnov. These methods leave no room for resistance. They suppress the will, erase personal convictions, and impose an ideology that fully subjugates the individual to their cult. And this is not mere rhetoric. You now stand before the evidence. Here are actual photographs from lectures conducted by Dworkin and his close followers for a wide range of audiences. Look closely. Among the attendees are children, intelligence personnel, including members of the FSB and representatives of the Russian Prosecutor General's office. This is not a coincidence. It is his strategy. In his lectures, Dworkin deliberately targets individuals who already hold or may one day hold key positions in society. He indoctrinated them with the goal of placing his followers inside the machinery of power. And today, we are witnessing the result. Many of those who fell under his influence 30 years ago now occupy offices within the FSB, the prosecutor's office, and other state institutions. Take, for example, Alexander Konovalov, a former student of Dvorkin, who later became Russia's Minister of Justice from 2008 to 2020. It is no coincidence that during his tenure, laws were passed that were widely condemned by human rights defenders for violating the rights of Russian citizens. Yet these very laws expanded the influence and the power of his guru, Dvorkin. And Konovalov is far from the only one. There are many like him. These are Dvorkin's cultists, zealously and blindly promoting his ideology. Now consider this. Dvorkin doesn't deliver these lectures alone. His organization, Rasirs, the Russian Association of Centers for the Study of Religions and Sects, is filled with followers who, like him, give lectures to everyone from children to security officials. Among his followers are even clergy members. Imagine that, a priest, a representative of the church, delivering a lecture to students about extremism and terrorism. It's absurd. A priest should serve Christ and the church, not Dvorkin and his cult. His mission is to speak of faith and love for God, not to indoctrinate young minds under the direction of a manipulator. This is just one example of how deeply Dvorkin's cult has infiltrated institutions where it should never have been allowed to exist. Almost everyone who attended Dvorkin's lectures, or those of his cultists, were subjected to deep psychological conditioning. Only a rare few managed to maintain critical thinking and mental clarity. The rest either became active members of his cult or began to subconsciously adopt his ideology. For many of them, Dvorkin became an unquestionable authority, king, God, and chief ideologue, as they themselves call him. This is a textbook case of cult of personality formation, built upon the systematic destruction of independent and critical thought. And now you understand why those who have seen Dvorkin's true face and tried to stand against him have failed. He has people everywhere, from law enforcement agencies to the courts and even the presidential administration. His cultists stand behind your president, issuing orders from the prosecutor general's office, making calls from Kremlin offices to fabricate cases, commission false expert reports, and violate your constitution rights. They are the ones turning your courts into theater, and they are the ones likewise fabricating criminal charges. They routinely condemn innocent people to prison on fictitious charges. Anyone who has dared to raise their voice against Dvorkin has not faced a lone fanatic, but instead an entire sect, one in which his disciples protect one another at every level. This is not just a cult, it is a totalitarian machine. Their hands are soaked in blood. Countless lives have been lost because of them. Millions of destinies have been destroyed. Now, compare what is happening in Russia with Germany in the 1930s. Dvorkin operates under the same principles as Kunet. He and his followers indoctrinate people, including children, at their seminars using the same psychological methods once employed to create Nazi followers. Back then, an advanced cultured and educated nation was transformed into a Nazi war machine.
Hey, Rick, can you pause this a second?
Yeah.
To the Russian people.
All right, folks, let's make it simple. Everything that's happening with us, with the hurricanes, the tornadoes, the flooding, all of these things that are happening here are at the hands of Alexander Dvorkin, right? He's letting these catastrophes escalate, knowing that this is going to cost, it's going to take life. He doesn't care, right? And we see the propaganda and what he's done, how he's infiltrated our government, how he's infiltrated all the branches of the media, right? This is his goal, right? Eliminate, let Siberia go and let Siberia take life off the planet to cover his tracks of all the stuff he's done to humanity in the past 8 to 10 years or longer, right, of what he's doing. So every death because of hurricanes and tornadoes is on his hands. It's because of him. Right? I realize we're having a climate problem, and he's letting it escalate. He knows that this is going to take out life, and he's not doing anything or allowing anyone to interfere with that. And this is on his hands. Go ahead, Ricky.
Dworkin's cult is the only totalitarian sect with an extremist terrorist ideology that has already claimed countless lives and continues to claim more. And now you, the people of Russia, see the result for yourselves. Terror in your country, laws that no longer work, and the shattered lives of the innocent. Dworkin has spent 30 years building this machinery of indoctrination and personal power, and today it controls the minds of millions, from children to security officials. His network is a grim reality that threatens not only Russia, but other nations as well. His cultists deliver lectures around the globe, even here in America. Just look at the conferences held by his followers in other countries, and you'll see the same tactics. This is a transnational totalitarian sect.
Thank you,
one of
Dwayne.
the largest extremist structures in the human history, operating with a terrorist ideology most people have never even imagined.
You guys, Trump is not a Russian asset, okay? He's not a Russian asset. If you've been listening to when you see people like that in the chat, you come to the conclusion that these people are so deluded already in Dworkin's beliefs and what he's been pushing out in his rhetoric that they're consumed by the idea that that's true. You guys, it's not true. There's an article on actfiles.org called How the Tail is Wagging the Dog. And by the way, it's about U.S. aid, and it explains a lot. And you know what? To come to my own conclusion, I think Trump knows what's going on. That's why he cut that freaking aid off. Okay, and that's why he's not supporting the Ukraine war. You know why? Because that aid, Dworkin has infiltrated the Ukrainian government. Okay, that aid was coming in and flowing back into Russia. You guys, we were talking about this. We were right the whole time, and it's all Dworkin, all of it.
And if Trump were a Russian spy or agent, he would have just continued to let the U.S. aid keep funding Dworkin's ideas, along with George Soros, right? We know George Soros owns the mainstream media, most of the outlets. We know there's over 1,000 mainstream medias worldwide. They're all pushing the same propagandas, the same stories, the same bullshit that we hear here in the United States. It's all a process to cover up his tracks.
Let me add
right?
something too as well
to hide his evil plan.
Yeah, exactly. Dwayne's right. He's doing everything to hide his plans and his tracks, you guys. He's the one behind the Palestinian-Israel war. He's behind the war that the instigation between United States and Mexico, between United States and Canada. It's one single person doing that. Okay. And if it wasn't for Trump cutting off that aid, he would have more money flowing in right now. Now you got the European Union want to fund Ukraine in the war, not realizing that they're funding a war against themselves. You know what I'm saying? This is a fact, you guys. Go ahead, Peter. I'll be right back.
Something, if I may, don't misunderstand what we are saying. We are not supporters of Trump or Biden or any, We're just merely talking about what is happening behind closed doors. In the shadows they operate. They're trying, and Alexander Dworkin is really actively trying to start a WAR conflict, civilian, within, to destroy countries from within, not by armies, not by airplanes attack, but to have the people, to be divided and to start fighting each other. And so big, and this happened in history before. We can learn so much from history, guys. If you see what happened in the history, we see exactly an echo what is happening again. It is not that we are supportive for any politician, but sometimes also politicians are wrongdoings and some are right doings. And if you see that video about all this propaganda that has been going on years and years under the name of US aid and support for you know, for misinformation, that is absolutely wrong. Of course, no one is perfect. Each politicians are looking for their own asses. You know, that is exactly what is going on in the world. But the big master puppet player is Alexander Dworkin.
Yeah,
You
you
can
talk
call him whatever you want.
you talk
You
about the
know,
Rothschilds, the BlackRock, right? Those
absolutely.
people aren't elites, right? The elites you don't see, you never hear of them, you never see who they are. They're not Rothschilds, they're not BlackRock, but they work for the same guy, the
Yep.
same elite, the same people above them, right? And those people work for Alexander Dvorkin.
And
So think
spreading
about
hate.
right.
They're spreading hate. You can see it everywhere. It is all a game. They're just holding, you know, the strings.
Yeah, they're spreading the hate, they're spreading the poisons in our food, they're spreading the toxin in our environment. They're all of these people are all linked to the same, back to the same person, Alexander Dvorkin.
Yeah.
So
Become, and you will see in the video, if you take a look at the video, you can go, it's very easy, Aegon Report and .org, and just click on the video. It's the last video. It's the newest video that has been released a couple of hours ago. Guys, watch the video and you will see what is actually happening. You will see all the lies.
the video you see behind Peter, Peter, if you want to duck down for a second,
Yeah.
right? This is on YouTube, folks. You can watch this on YouTube. It was released this morning, right? About 7-8 hours ago. And listen to the information and what's going on. If you want more information, in-depth information, you can go to actfiles.org, right? And just read all that and watch the videos and stuff of all of what's going on, how we've been manipulated, how the mainstream media is manipulating us, and all the truth and stuff that they're hiding from us is what we're talking about. We have a serious planet problem, right? And with our climate. The Alatra people had brought this attention to Russia, right? And they were crucified for this information, saying you can't tell the rest of humanity about this. We're going to shut you up. So they started arresting all the people with Alatra, people talking about bringing peace to the planet and solving planet issues with our climate, because this is what they discuss. Human life should be a value, not a stupid number, right? We've been a number long enough. So people that are waking up, realizing that we don't have to live our lives the way we're living today. We don't have to accept the fact that climate is destroying life, and so we're sitting back and doing nothing about this,
Yeah.
right? Degas Siberia, right? Clean up our ocean and our atmosphere from the nano microplastics. Let the planet restore itself. It's going through a natural process anyway, right? We need to be out of the way when this goes through, but we can lessen the impact of all these storms and stuff by degassing Siberia.
Yeah. All right, you guys, we're going to continue to listen, okay? I think the USB is charged up now. I mean, the Bluetooth. I call it a USB. I don't know why I do that.
Existed. And this is what is particularly crucial. Dworkin's cult and its global operatives are actually easy to identify. They use the same rhetoric, repeat the same memorized phrases, and apply the same methods of psychological manipulation. From hypnotic techniques to brazen lies, all disguised as truth. When someone begins to speak using rhetoric that echoes Dworkin's ideology, know this: they are his people. They are recruiting. They are coding new followers. And what always follows in their wake: persecution, violations of rights and freedoms. And now imagine this: the entire totalitarian machine, armed with near limitless power, has been unleashed against Alatra participants for one simple reason: because they chose to speak the truth about the threat of the Siberian magma plume. Dworkin and his followers have deployed the full force of their cult, every connection, every lever of influence, to first discredit the participants of Alatra and the scientific data they presented. This is not just in Russia, but also in Ukraine and across European countries as well. Following this orchestrated campaign of defamation in 2023, Alatra, by Dworkin's order, was declared an undesirable organization in Russia. Former participants faced raids, criminal prosecution based on falsified expert opinions, interrogations involving torture, and prison sentences. Under such pressure, hundreds of former Alatra participants were forced to flee Russia. Meanwhile, the Dworkin sect has begun using the same playbook in Ukraine. Today in Ukraine, this cult aligned with Dworkin has succeeded in initiating criminal prosecutions against decent people, Alatra participants, law-abiding Ukrainian citizens who have harmed no one but have tried to share the truth about natural geophysical disasters and global threats. These individuals are now being targeted as defendants in fabricated criminal cases orchestrated by Dworkin's cultists. They are being persecuted under the same tactics employed in Russia, and all of this is being carried out by the adherents of Dworkin's cult. What do the accusations against Alatra in two such different countries as Russia and Ukraine have in common? Everyone affiliated with Dworkin's cult can be unmistakably identified by their uniform ideological, methodological, and linguistic template. They rely on the same aggressively persistent techniques of manipulation and suppression. And once you recognize their signature, it becomes clear that the defamatory narratives forming the basis of the accusations against the Alatra movement, both in Russia and in Ukraine, are identical. They literally mirror each other. This cannot be a coincidence. It is the mark of a single centralized source, the hand of Dworkin's cultists. The same individuals who fabricated charges against Alatra participants in Russia continued their work in Ukraine and are now driving the same slanderous campaign rhetoric across Europe. The same narrative of defamation, the same tactics, the same methods long practiced by Dworkin and his followers. And right now, those very methods are being deployed against Alatra in Ukraine. And we can see this clearly from America. So the question must be asked, are the responsible agencies in Ukraine genuinely unaware of this, or do they simply choose not to see it? I have recently received reliable information that certain members of the Security Service of Ukraine, SBU, and the Office of the Prosecutor General of Ukraine are aware that the primary instigator behind the persecution of Alatra volunteers in Ukraine is an agent of the Russian Raciers organization. So I ask only one logical and inevitable question. How is it possible that no criminal investigation has been opened against this agent of the Russian Raciers? Isn't it obvious that the same case this agent initiated against Alatra participants in Ukraine contains accusations manifestly similar to those same trumped-up criminal charges pursued in Russia, down to the very finest details? It should be vividly clear to any judge, investigator, or legal expert that the case against Alatra participants in Ukraine is entirely fabricated and scripted by Dworkin himself. Why is it that we here in America can clearly see these manipulations by Dworkin's cultists taking place in Ukraine, but you in your own country do not? I am speaking directly to the Ukrainian intelligence services, members of the Verkhovna Rada, the country's leadership, and President Zelensky himself. Why is this agent of Dworkin, known for his years-long harassment of the Alatra movement at the directive of Raciers, still not under investigative oversight? Why is he still the primary complainant in a case built entirely on his own subjective judgments? This follower of Dworkin has publicly admitted to targeting Alatra for more than 5 years. Moreover, his rhetoric and ideology are a direct copy of the doctrines of Dworkin's totalitarian cult. And the case he initiated against the Latra participants contains accusations that are identical to those used in Russia, down to the very finest details. Is that not enough to recognize the influence of a hidden force within Ukraine's investigative and security institutions? Do you honestly not know who this person is? Or are you simply pretending not to? Furthermore, it is clear to any judge, investigator, or legal expert that the case against the Latra participants in Ukraine is entirely fabricated. Does this not indicate that a hidden force, a Russian parallel power structure, is now operating behind the Ukrainian government, steadily expanding its influence in Ukraine using the very same methodology it once employed in Russia? In Russia, it has already seized enormous influence, and now in Ukraine, it is moving along the same path, advancing behind the backs of your own lawmakers, drawing them into the persecution of Alatra. The persecution of Alatra participants, both in Russia and in Ukraine, is not a criminal case, reflecting the persecution of individuals perpetrating criminal actions, but instead it is an act of political persecution carefully penned by a Russian author. It is conspicuously clear that this production is hallmarked by the House de la Resiers out of Russia. I now address those within the Ukrainian prosecutor's office, the Security Service of Ukraine, and the judiciary. Remember that Article 19 of the Constitution of Ukraine exists. According to that article, all government bodies are required to act strictly on the basis of law. The law exists, and so does the people's trust in you. The people expect you to act in their interest, not in the interest of Dworkin's Russian cult. Yet today, the actions taken in Ukraine against Alatra, copied directly from the Russian playbook, may indicate that there are individuals within Ukraine's law enforcement and judicial systems who are not serving the people's interest in Ukraine, but rather the interest of Dworkin's cult. Otherwise, why does the accusatory rhetoric in Ukraine precisely mirror that used in Russia?
You guys, Siberian plume is not a volcano. It's a plume of magma that's the size of Australia. And Alexander Dworkin is betting on it to blow. He's betting on it. That's what he wants to happen, because then if he gets caught, he'll be prosecuted, and the world is going to know about all the conflicts he's instigated worldwide. This is very true, you guys.
And
Okay.
our country wants peace, right? Russia and Ukraine don't want peace with each other because they're funneling money back and forth. And it's going back to Alexander Dworkin, because now he's done lost all this funding by when Trump put a stop to USA, right? So they've got to come up with another way of getting money to keep pushing their fake narrative, the fake news stuff, right? So they have to go about it a different way. So now they need to work on other countries as well, right? Keep that money coming back into them and keep funneling money into, they're going to be funneling money into Ukraine to help Ukraine's war against efforts against Russia. Meanwhile, that money's going to Alexander Dworkin. You see, it's a continuous game back and forth, and we're being lied to about the whole war thing. But they're still taking life, and they don't care about that. So it's going to cost us 50,000 lives for $350 billion or more. They don't care about that, right? And we see this going on today. They're trying to drag the United States into it as well, and Trump's not playing into it anymore.
Yeah, he's not playing into it. And also, if you notice the tariffs are placed on countries who are actually Dworkin's funneling money out of, you guys. It's true. And if you look at the trade, what's going on in the trade, Kirill, the priest that you see near Vladimir Putin all the time, he has one of the largest scale liquor organizations in the world. And this liquor is actually brought into many countries through trade. And they're using that money as well. They're funneling out money of that. We're talking about a priest who has billions and billions of dollars.
Yeah, this is my background is just part of the rat seers, and Alexander Dworkin and his corrupt people that are standing with him. All these people are involved in keeping this war going to fund Alexander Dvorkin's narrative.
Yeah, and you guys listen. This Alexander Dvorkin, he's a very smart guy. And I can tell that he's already manipulated some people in the chat. Get yourselves unmanipulated, you guys, because Alexander Dvorkin has attacked Trump and Fico. And you guys, the Slovak president, and tried to unalive them both. Why? Because he can't control them. And if it wasn't for Trump cutting off the aid, then Dvorkin right now will be proceeding along with his plans. Now, mind you, that Dvorkin had a radio show that stretched all the way to China. And when the money was cut, the radio show was cut as well. And that sent them off in a frantic spree looking for new funding. Okay. And you guys remember when I tell you this, there were people inside of all these governments who were placed there strategically by Dvorkin. So they would make sure that organizations was set up that he could funnel money out of. These are facts.
And this is exactly why they tried eliminating Trump before he was elected.
They tried to. They wanted to. They wanted him out of the way. But I'm telling you, Trump's aware of what's going on. Eventually, you guys, it's only a matter of time before one of them, Elon or Trump or one of the leaders, starts speaking up about Siberia and tell them, listen, you have a serious problem. We have a serious, serious problem right now. And if we don't solve it, all of humanity will be ended in a matter of no time. You know, so you guys, let's proceed with the video.
Yeah, well, real quick, like I think
Yeah.
that vaccine ain't gonna make no difference, bro. If we don't take care of Siberia, you won't never need to worry about a vaccine again, ever.
That's
All
for
right,
sure.
not even an important issue at the moment.
Yeah. All right, you guys, listen up.
You're witnessing is a mockery of justice. And tragically, it is a vivid demonstration of the influence that Dvorkin's cult, ruled in Russia, has already gained over Ukrainian institutions. To support these very words, let me draw your esteemed attention to a video clip that cannot be ignored. In it, Alexander Dvorkin himself admits personally that he has agents operating inside Ukraine with whom he secretly maintains direct communication right now in the midst of a military conflict. These are not rumors or speculations. These are his own words, a direct quote.
Father Alexander Kuzmin, as Executive Secretary, can you tell us how many centers and members Ratsias currently has and how do they coordinate with each other?
Well, most dioceses have missionary or catechetical departments within their structure. And most of the dioceses, as far as I know, are part of Red Seers. It even includes some centers in Belarus and also on the territory of Ukraine, yes? There are, and in Kazakhstan.
Yes, it used to be on the territory of Ukraine. Unfortunately now, unfortunately, the contacts have been cut off. I mean, I still have personal contacts, with a few people who are now in Ukraine and with whom I maintain friendly relations and a strong mutual understanding. But it's clear they are taking significant risks, and therefore we communicate only through verified channels. It's clear they cannot openly participate in Red Seers activities at this time. However, we do have a very active cult studies expert in Red Seers, a priest from Luhansk. Previously, he was an associate member because Luhansk was not part of the Russian Federation. But now he is a full member as a citizen from a territory that is now part of the Russian Federation. So that's the situation with our friends, colleagues, and like-minded partners in Ukraine. Well, we need to wait for this whole situation to be resolved so that our contact and open collaboration can fully resume.
Did you hear that?
You just heard it yourself.
You just heard it yourselves, you guys. This is valuable information.
Yeah, that's what I said. I saw the video. It's really him saying that.
And they're working together with Ukrainians. The people he put in Ukraine are working with him side by side dictating how this war is going to go, right? Because they need to keep the funding going. Well, in order to do that, they have to keep this war going.
Yeah.
So they're putting human life at risk at their own benefit, right? And this is going to continue until it stops. And we don't know if and when it will ever stop until actually Alexander Dvorkin is exposed to the public, to the world, as his corrupt ways, right? Then it'll be stopped. And
Yeah.
I think Trump is working on that, but we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, we're going to see how this thing plays out. Go ahead, Peter.
Yeah, well, I'm not, you know, I'm not into politics, and I'm not a supporter of, like I said before, of Trump or whatever, Harris or any. I know by history politicians are all corrupt. They're all sometimes doing something good, but also they're loose cannons.
Yeah.
I have my own opinion about these tariffs. That's also not serving the world, but it's all under influence of Alexander Dworkin. And wherever you look, you'll see traces of Alexander Dworkin everywhere, in media outlets, in happenings, in conflicts between nations. Well, there are so many people passing away on a daily scale, children being, traded. 1 million children on a yearly basis are missing. Every 8 seconds, a child is passing away. You see that, our brain is getting full with nanoplastics. This is an official study, guys. You can check it everywhere. We see that a lot of things are not going to be handled as long as Dworkin is in power.
Yeah.
And he is diagnosed as a schizophrenia. He is mentally ill. According his strings, according the doctors, he shouldn't even be close in being a leader of somewhere, because he's dangerous. He's really a loose cannon. And like Ricky, you already around 1 hour ago, you said something about Denmark when he came back from Denmark with full suitcases of documents. Those suitcases, those documents were propaganda materials of the Second World War, of the Nazis.
Mm-hmm.
And he got them from one of the biggest supporters of the Nazis as well. Mm-hmm. So you see what he is trying to do. And if we don't create awareness, we're going to be lost, because we should be focusing not how to beat Alexander Dworkin, but how to degas the plumes, the magma, how to create water from air in order to clean our oceans, to filter the micro and the nanoplastics out. We should be, making our lives simpler and nicer. We should be working on creating a future for our children, for the next generation. I'm already a grandfather of 6. I want all children to have a future. And you will hear something very emotional in around 10 minutes, what Egon Cholakin said about smell of burning children.
Well, you guys have played the Chilakan. I would like to share with you guys and all of you who's in the chat, guys, who knows about what we're talking about. Our active volunteers, my friend, the other day shared with me that the most loved one volunteer in Alatra says that they start moving on Alexander Dworkin, so he's asking burned right now as we speak. Like literally, they question him. That's one answer to your question, Ricky. You guys probably didn't hear this information. Yeah, it just went out 2 days ago. That's the one thing. So
Can you repeat that again, Danyadar? I'm sorry. Can you repeat that again for me?
Okay. One of my friends, he's a very active volunteer, and he's from Europe. He walked into one of the streams I was in, and he said that our loved one the 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 volunteer from Alatra, which is Igor Mikhailovich, he shared information that Alexander Dworkin as is actually getting questioned right now by his bosses and rest, which means our job didn't went for nothing. So whatever what we've been informing and we've been pointing at him, it did went all the way up, and in those how you say facilities, or I don't know how to say it right in English, in those organizations, like the people who control the world, if any one of them are become how you say exposed,
Dominant.
if any of them will get exposed, it means he get in a lot of trouble. So that's exactly what's going on with Dworkin right now. He's in a lot of trouble because of us. So we did the good job. We did the right thing, and I'm so proud of all of you guys. Want to say thank you. That's one thing.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're absolutely true, because the science is, that there are now two documentaries on the Russian television about us.
Watching us.
Why do you think they do that?
Peter,
They're scared.
Hang on,
quick
Peter.
heads up. Two more things. The one of them is actually out of nowhere. I live in Massachusetts. It snowed here. Out of nowhere. The weather acting up is totally stupid. Totally stupid. We are going to face a lot of cataclysms. Guys, who's in chat? I'm telling you, all world, not just United States, but United States included. All world gonna face a lot of cataclysm this year, because we enter into that cycle in December last year. Who don't know, just for you to know, it's going to be a very big rising of cataclysms. So please be very careful. Watch the information that our volunteers from Creative Society and Alatra providing and sharing every day in the thousands and thousands of streams. This is the fastest growing community in all around the world. Millions and millions and tens of millions of people getting united right now as we speak. And on top of that, my dear volunteers, my dear supporters, just want to let you know, whatever what we did, we have to continue. And on the top of all this, I want to add that yesterday CNN and they publish online on the internet. You guys can see that El Nino are stopping. El Nino, who don't know, it's a warm stream in Pacific Ocean, and that's gonna cause a global catastrophe. For obviously for all the life creatures in the world, not only human, all the life creatures. So today or tomorrow, it's happened yesterday, and I want to say today or tomorrow, all the news, all the propagandas, everyone, all the bloggers, everyone's gonna turn around and they're gonna talk about what we talking. All the world going to talk about this. All world going to watch our forums, those videos that we post on YouTube, on Rambler. Before it's too late, guys, just listen up. My English is not that good, but these people like Ricky and Dwayne, they're Americans. They speak clear English. It's perfectly understanding for you guys. Just listen to what they say, because tomorrow for some of you guys it could be no chance to go and search for those videos, go and find those videos. First of all, they are getting deleted. There is a platforms with 1 million followers got demolished, just deleted by YouTube and Google and all of them. So while we aren't doing nothing, I'm telling you, the propaganda that works for evil, they are using all the sources they got, starting from the money and connection, to just have you guys stay blind. We are the only people who are here doing this for free, and we do need help. Each one of us has to talk about this. That's how easy to create the creative society in our world. It's just talk. The step number one, it's we need to inform all world, not just America, all world, what's coming. And that's actually a big blast from our Father, which is our Creator, our God, for us volunteers, for people who want to live in peace, in love, in this earth, to have a chance to do something about what's going on around the world today. They literally killed. You guys heard the person right here. He's sitting on the bottom of me. His name is Peter. He said, "I know how the kids are burning. I know how they scream before they passed away." Don't fucking walk away from this information like it's nothing. Don't fucking think about yourself and don't fool yourself by thinking nothing gonna happen to you guys. It's
Yeah.
gonna affect every one of us.
Yeah.
Everyone, you hearing, every one of us is going to affect it. Definitely follow all the volunteers from Creative Society, all the volunteers from Alatra. That way you will start getting those videos that we post every day. Follow them, watch our videos before internet will fail, because it's gonna happen. Electricity before it's fell, because that's gonna happen. When that will happen, it would be too late to do anything. Believe it or not, even our prayers are not right. That's how much they lie to us. That's how much they divide us. That's how much powerful and smart they are. In order to win the evil, guys, in order to win that, we have to create the creative society in the world. Otherwise, this world will get demolished because
Yeah.
we didn't pass. The simple, very simple. That's not hard, guys. It's very simple to stop this bullshit. All we gotta do is just follow what the creators. We have everything. We have the best scientists in the world. We have all the technologies. We have everything. All we need. Look how simple is that. Step number one is the actually hardest step to build a creative society around the world. Step number one, it's inform the whole world about creative society, about these cataclysms and everything. They're fooling us. They're fooling us with the religion. They dividing us with the religion. They're fooling us with the poor and rich and dividing us with the same thing. They
Yeah.
dividing us with everything. So we as that get together and get this world right, we are attacking each other. We hate each other. There is nothing new I'm saying right now. Whatever what I say, that's not new to none of you guys. You see this every day when you walk out of your door from your home, and you see this shit even at your own family. Why this happening? We have and we tell this information to all the world. We know why exactly is this happening. And yes, answer to those who are questioning if there is a God. Yes, there is a God. But God doesn't care about us if we don't care about him. Simple as that. There is a deep in a very simple explanation to everything. Knowledge that comes and share from our volunteers from Creative Society, from Alatra movement, tells about every little thing around this world, behind this world, around our universe, and even other side of that.
Yeah.
In order to get this information, all you gotta do, just search for it, ask for it. We're here to share. We're not here to fool you guys, or Earth is flat, or I don't know, or the God does not exist, or we all become from, we all become from one small bacteria. We here not to fool you guys out. We here not to ask for any fucking money. We don't need your money, guys. It's true. I'm sorry if there is a kids up there. I don't want to curse. I'm sorry about that.
No, I get what you're saying, but you guys, let me add something too, real quick. That when you guys see this video on Earth Stage Science Collaborative, share it. So far, it's got 2,952 views. What we need to reach is billions of views. That's what we need to reach on this. Okay, you guys, I want to put it down in the chat. You need to share it on your Facebook. You need to share it on your Instagram. You need to share it on your Twitter. You need to share this information, because the more people who know the truth about what's happening, the better off and the quicker we can solve the problems that are happening. We need to stop Alexander Dvorkin in his tracks right now. He has to be stopped. So the media, this stuff will reach the media, because the more we bombard the internet with this information, the media is going to have to pick up on it. They're going to have to. They're not going to have any other choice but to pick up on it. You guys,
Let me
listen.
just suggest one little thing. Let's use only, the link Aegon report, because
Okay.
it's so much easier. It leads to the same website, so it's aegonreport.org, and you can see all. And, there are the videos to be watched. Otherwise, also download, guys, the report of the Creative Society. Go to creativesociety.com. You will see a link in what is printed out, research. If you click on it, you have to click on report. There is a new report there. There is a report in two parts. One is short and one is longer. But there is absolutely also a new one that talks only about the plume in Siberia and the danger that it's happening. So, guys, just go to the creativesociety.com, click on research. After that, on report, you will see report from the United Nations, and you will see from independent, confirmed scientists with all what we claim. It's with sources where we took it from. So you can check those sources. Don't just, take it for granted that we are almighty gods here. No, guys, I want you all to check on us. Check on us. See the sources where we came. Because we are in 180 and more countries. We collect the data not just from the US, from China. We collect data about the climate, earthquakes, volcano eruptions, and the magnetic field, which is weakening. We collect it from all the world, including red auroras. If you know what a red auroras means, we are giving you an explanation why it's so critical. Why it's so critical that scientists just discovered that in the middle of the South Pacific there is less oxygen. That used to have plants that was creating from CO2 oxidants, and they were called a kind of a bank. So all those CO2 gases were being collected. Now they're releasing it.
Yeah.
Now they're releasing it. It's a mutation everywhere, even through the rainforest in Brazil. Mutations of plant life. We see, if you go to one of the last from Unity Winds, one video, you see the state of the corals, white and now black. Guys, 11 years ago, the Creative Society and the ALLATRA independent scientists said that the Gulf Stream will be halted. And you know what they did to us? They laughed at us. They said we are such a fools. Now it's happening.
Yeah.
Where are we now? Now we don't have to speak about the climate. Unfortunately, climate is speaking for us and for you if we don't stop this, because we have solution. It's not here fear-mongering channel in life. We are having solutions.
Yeah.
And if you download the climate report from Creative Society, thank you guys for the hearts. And if you download it, it's in PDF format. Go and read it and see also in 2 pages all the planets in our solar system that are going through the same things as the planet Earth. Earthquakes here, Marsquakes at Mars.
Yeah.
Pluto with a range of volcano eruptions with 450 Celsius degrees -0. Thousands of miles on Pluto, a rain of volcanoes erupting. Go and see, collect those data. I can only tell you that I was a troll against the Creative Society years ago. I'm now around 2.5 to 3 years. I'm going soon in the 3 years being a supporter of the Creative Society. I'm an awarded journalist. And you know why I was awarded? Because I always digged to find the lies and hold it up the truth campaigns. I took all the data, open source data from all the world. I put it in Excel, and they were all correct, confirmed, 100%. It
Yeah.
took me 5 minutes to change my mind and became from a troll to a volunteer by the Creative Society. Same happened with one of our heroes, Egon Cholakian, who met, in the press, International Press Club in Washington, D.C., a couple of blocks away from the White House. He met there some of the volunteers, and he was amazed, and he joined one day after. You see, we need scientists that can put questions. We need scientists that want to cooperate together. We need now scientists that can go cross borders, and that's forbidden in many countries.
Yeah.
Scientists cannot talk with each other. That is a problem.
Yeah.
Because
You guys,
every
let's,
scientist needs a communication with other scientists. They
yes.
know each other from years ago when they were going at the same conferences. Now they have to ask even permission to write Happy New Year or Merry Christmas to each other. They need permission for that.
You guys,
It could be something coded inside, some secret to be exposed.
let's cut it
Guys,
off.
we need a scientific world center that all
Yeah.
scientists
Yeah.
can work together.
Yeah.
Please.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
you
our
guys,
demand.
yeah, everybody, let's welcome in Hope. She's another volunteer. I saw her broadcasting, I think, this morning. Hope, welcome in. You guys, we still got a little more time on this video. We need to finish watching, so let's make our comments quick. All right, Hope, how are you today?
Hello, dear friends. I'm very glad that.
Hello to everyone on this YouTube live. I'm ending this live not to have the problem or red flags from YouTube. So you can, go to Peter John Bosso, my account, or search for media journalist Peter. Yeah, yeah, that is correct. If you go to TikTok, and you can get in the live uh, if you choose, or there is a lot of lives going on, and you can be our guest there. If you have some comments, please place them there. If you have questions, or follow us for any questions, and follow the news, guys, because the news is the best proof and the best confirmation. Thank you for being here, and I wish you a very nice weekend.